Welcome to the GSA Podcast, and I'm Millie.
And I'm Shanice.
What will be included is things such as interviews,
Music and GSA talent.
Speaking of interviews, we're going to move on to one with Asha interviewing the head of SU.
How do you feel to be the head of student union of GSA Academy?
So there's two of us. We're both presidents, me and another person called Pav. And it's nice to be the head of the student union. I think being able to be a part of every single different branch, because there's 4 branches, but also still being my own little thing in there is really nice, because I get to look at what everyone's doing and also contribute to that. So I get to have a chance to be in everything in a kind of way.
Why did you choose to do this?
Well, actually, I didn't plan on becoming president of the student union. I didn't even want to apply. I just thought it's going to be so busy in year 13, like I wouldn't have time for it. But then my friend got me to apply, and honestly, it's been so great. It has been so great. And all my worries about, oh, it's going to take up so much time, it's going to be so stressful, I don't need that in year 13, it just all went away, because student union, like, everybody helps each other. So nothing's on just one person. And I think that's what is nice about it. And that's why if I went back in time, I'd tell myself to choose to do it, because it's just so teamwork based and everyone's got each other's back.
Does it affect your learning?
No, I thought it would. That's why I didn't want to do it, as I said. But honestly, it hasn't. It works perfectly alongside my education, and it's not a big demand. It's not a big demand. It's once a week. We do a meeting. We talk on. We have a chat where we talk as well, and that's really it. But it does work really nicely with school, because everything you do is mainly in school, so it just feeds into that nicely.
In what way do you help the school?
So if this was out of COVID times, we have 4 branches, and especially with activities, we'd host so many like fairs and summer activities and stuff. That's what we do to try and make the school environment seem better. And then through mental health and well-being, I know they've done a lot of um they've done a lot of stuff based around how exercise can help you and impact you. So we did a 24-day calendar where you just did something every day. It was either artistic or like an exercise based thing, just all leading up to improve your mental health and well-being, so you were more aware of it. But I know they've done so much work with that. They've worked with lots of different years and just try to implement like strategies and workshops to try and help children to manage that. I know that's definitely where we had the biggest impact.
Do you do any extra school clubs?
Yeah, so I've been doing netball since year 7. I'm captain of the team, and I've done netball. Once a week after school, we'll do training, and it's just great, honestly. But obviously, because of COVID, we haven't been able to do that, and intervention has definitely taken over my life now. So there's not that much time for it. But definitely, if it was not COVID times, I would still be doing netball every day.
Do you do any extra activities outside school?
So outside of school, I am part of the West Midlands Hunger Service. So I work with my local governor, and we just put stuff out there like feeding the homeless and stuff. Then also in my area we have a BID, so that's a business improvement like group, and I go there and I talk about ways to improve the way that my area works business wise to be more impactful for the environment, because that's definitely something that I'm very passionate about. So that's how I do that. So I work with them, and we've got a lot of schemes going. Like we have a gardening scheme that goes on every single year just to like make the place nicer and like more aesthetic, so more people are drawn to the area. And then with the Lunga service, we also work with them on the streets to feed the homeless in the area. So that's what I do outside of school, I guess.
What are your favorite subjects?
My favourite subject, did you say?
Yes.
My favourite subject. So I do biology, chemistry, and I do PE, and definitely biology. My teachers are great, and learning at A level, at GCSE, it's very interesting, but at A level, you learn about the more finer things into it. And it's so interesting. And just to learn about how the world works, it's just crazy because you can apply it to every day. And it's just so interesting to me. And that's why it's my favorite subject.
Has it been harder to be the head of student union while being a remote learning?
I think, yes, 100%. With remote learning, we're not able to be there. So usually we have in-person meetings and we just follow up on everything and do everything in person. So it's nice, quick and easy and everyone's accessible. But with online learning, not everyone is accessible. With us year 13s, we have a group chat so we can all be there for each other then. So it's easy to get around. But with the year 12s, we only started speaking to them in a student union kind of way a couple of weeks ago because it's just very difficult to try and get that contact around. And hopefully, after COVID, the student union after me will be able to have in-person meetings and be able to have that nice flow. Because I guess that's what I miss the most. That student union meetings have a nice flow when everyone's there. You go around, you share ideas, you talk. You don't even talk about student union most of the time. It's just gossip. So, but that's what's missing, and I guess.
Do you think it will affect your future learning?
COVID-19 affecting my future learning?
Yes.
Oh yeah, 100%. We've all been out of school and online teaching is very, very good. It's very good and the teachers put a lot into it, but still that experience that you get face to face, it's not matched. And I think we're all going to be affected, definitely, educational wise, because for me, like we missed a lot of content because of COVID. There was a bridge where we just missed a lot. And then also, you don't have the motivation at home. You sit on your sofa, you're tempted by so many things. You don't have that space to just concentrate and to do your work. And I guess that's the biggest thing that I feel affects all of us.
For how long have you been the head of student union?
So I've been in student union since starting six. Like I've always had a leadership role, but being head of student union is since the start of year 13. That's a role that you take on as a year 13.
Do you enjoy doing this?
100%. 100%. I love being a part of the student union. Like, it's so great to be a part of a team and you see that the things that you implement do change, like make a change, and that as a student union, the staff do hear us. And I think that's the biggest thing because when I was in lower school, I was always in leadership, head of house, form captain, whatever, school council. But being in the SU, it's completely different. Like teachers want to hear our opinions, teachers want to have our input, and I think that's a nice thing because we truly are a voice for the students. We're able to give that fully, and that's
How would you describe your experience at George Salter Academy?
Oh gosh. So I've been here a long time now, long time, and the experience that I had in year 7 is so different to the experience that I have today. Every single year there've been a lot of different head teachers as well. So everyone had their own take on the school. And I've been through so many phases and now it's at its prime. Like it's top tier, 100%. When I look back, I think this is the place that I did so much growth. Like I grew from a child to an adult here and I wouldn't have wanted to do it anywhere else because George Sutter, like, yeah, it changed a lot, but the fundamental thing was like teachers always care about us. And I think that's the main thing because you go to other schools and the teachers don't really care, but here you have that connection with them. And I think I wouldn't have ever wanted to go anywhere else.
What would you suggest to students at George Salter Academy that are concerned about their mental health after coronavirus?
Talk to your teachers, talk to them. I know it's going to be nervous and it's hard and it's a bit awkward, but talk to your teachers, because seriously, the teachers care a lot. They do care a lot. And it doesn't have to be a form tutor. It doesn't even have to be a teacher that teaches you, but find an adult that you trust here, and there will be, and they will make time for you. Don't feel like you're putting anybody out, because teachers will make time for you here, and it's a safe space, and use that. You should value it.
So thank you for being here to answer our questions today. And thank you everyone
for having me. Thank you.
Now that amazing interview with Ashes is over, let's get to talking about what people are really worried about.
Shanice, how do you feel about being tested for corona?
To be fair, I'm not that scared or worried about it. As long as it's keeping people safe and it's keeping me safe, then I'm okay with it. Millie, how do you feel about coming back to school if you are having the testing?
I'm not really worried about coming back to school, because I know we'll all be like safe in our bubbles, and I already have a lot of friends who I'm not worried about like feeling just out the loop again, and I'm just excited to go back in general.
How have you managed to do things through online learning? Like, what have you been doing to keep yourself occupied?
Well, as you know, because we've been talking a lot throughout this whole experience, I love to do rollerblades and things like that. So I love to go outside and, just have fun.
Well, I've been doing not too much, like just staying at home, cooking a bit, and I like to play the piano, so I've been doing that.
Now we're going to go on to another amazing interview with Avril starring Mr. Price.
Okay, welcome Mr. Price to the GSA Podcast. Pleased to have you here, and today I'll be interviewing you.
Well, thank you for that lovely welcome, and I'm slightly nervous being interviewed by you, so let's see how this goes.
Okay, first question. Where would you expect the school in 3 years, and why?
Oh, wow. I can't, at this moment in time, it's ever so hard to see through the present time and think about getting all the children back, all the adults back, being safe in our school once again, being happy and enjoying being here and achieving. And I can't really see past that at the moment. We have got a 3-year plan in our strategic planning for the school, and it does talk about such things as the school being, if you like, a beacon of best practice for specific things that we do so well in our school. I'd really like to think that in 3 years' time, we will have high rates of achievement, we'll have extremely high rates of attendance, and we'll have low instances of poor behaviour. We'll have departments which can showcase their work to other schools in Sandwell or across Ormiston Academies Trust. We'll have sports teams that compete with the right spirit and win with the right spirit and don't like losing in the right spirit. And we'll also have a wider life to our school, performing art shows, ski trips, visits to the battlefields. We'll have a full enrichment program that means taking children out of our academy again. So in 3 years' time, I want us to be a happy place and a school which embraces the challenge of its wider responsibilities to the children, the adults, and the community.
Second question. What do you do to make sure that pupils have high expectations of their work and themselves?
Good question. I think my first reaction to that is to say I try to role model it. So those people who work closely with me know that I have high expectations of myself every day. I understand that every day I will fail at something and I won't like it, and I will try to get better at it. So I try to have those high expectations of myself. I have them of the people I work with closely, be that the SLT or all the adults in the school, to make sure that we all understand what our role is and what our mission is and what our values are in the school. And I try to talk to you, the children, and try to understand where you're coming from and what you want, to make sure that we provide it for you. And if we get things wrong, we put it right and we go again, so that we learn from failure.
Okay, third question. When you visit a classroom, what evidence do you look to satisfy yourself that effective learning is taking place?
Yeah, these are really good questions. The first thing I do when I walk into a classroom is I gauge the environment, I gauge the atmosphere. And you can almost feel the atmosphere when children are learning. And it doesn't mean there's silence with heads down and children reading and writing, nor does it mean lots of noise. Engagement in learning can come in lots of different ways. But there's a moment when you walk in the room and you just sense how engaged in their learning the adult and the children are. And from that, you almost know what you're going to see before you look in books or you look at work. And then you talk to the children about what they're doing, if they can explain what they've done before, what they're currently doing, and how it links to what they're going to do in the future, and what they think of it, and how they feel it could be better, and what they're going to do next. And then you spend time looking in books, doing the same thing, seeing if that standard is what you'd expect across the year group or across a similar group. So there's all sorts of things you do when you walk into a classroom. But the first thing I do is I sort of stand in the doorway and just look and try to gauge what I think is happening, and to take the time to do that. And that's not necessarily something you can put on a tick list. There's no magic recipe for it. But the good thing is, when I walk into our classrooms in this school, I generally smell and feel an environment that I'm really, really happy with.
Yeah. For question 4, what strengths will you bring to the school?
Sense of humour. I hear that leaders with a sense of humour are 3 times more effective. So you might not always like my jokes, but I do try to always have a smile on my face. So positivity, optimism, and that's unconditional. I know that adults and children and myself will make mistakes, and it's not important what the mistake is. What's important is putting it right and learning from it. And I understand that as children, you will make mistakes, but it doesn't mean that we walk away. We are always here, and there's that unconditional positivity, which I think is huge in our school. So optimism, positivity, caring. I really am genuinely interested in the adults and the young people. If you ask me how I am and you pass me in the corridor and you say, "You're right, sir," I will always give you a proper answer. And sometimes that surprises children. Say, "You're right, sir." And I say, "Actually, you know what? My knees are hurting because I did quite a long run last night." So I take the time to be interested in the adults and the children. And I also understand that people are more important than paper. So if I'm in a conversation, I will turn the laptop away or the computer away, and I will focus on what the person's saying to me. So there you go. Positivity, caring, and the belief that people are more important than paper.
Yeah, that's good. For number 5, what values would you bring to the role of a head teacher?
I wouldn't disagree for 1 minute with any of our academy values: ambition, belief, and courage. When I think back to when I was growing up as a child in this area, I needed to have a dream. I needed to have a goal. I needed to have something to aim for. That was my ambition, and it was different to that of my mates. They didn't share my ambition at all. They didn't want to go to university. They didn't want to do A levels. They wanted to leave school and get a job as soon as they could, which was great for them. That was their ambition. My ambition was to learn as much as I could. So ambition, I fundamentally believe in that. Belief, because you will encounter knocks and failures most days, and it's how you respond to those which is important. Your resilience and your responsiveness. And if you haven't got belief that you are good enough to achieve your ambition, you won't, because the thing stopping you from achieving your ambition is actually yourself, and telling yourself you can't do it. So believe in yourself. So ambition, belief. And the last one, courage. You can't be a head teacher unless you're brave, because it's a very public post. It's a public post for the community, for the adults and the children in the school. Everybody sees you and thinks that they know you, when not everybody has the time to get to know you properly. So you understand that some things may be written about you, said about you, put online about you, which aren't true, and which if that person had taken the time to get to know you, they wouldn't put. So it takes courage to stand up, and it takes courage to be a head teacher. takes courage to be a teacher. So there you go, ambition, belief and courage.
For number 6, share an interesting fact about you.
I don't know if it's all that interesting, really. I could rack my brains on this, but my go-to answer for that question is generally the same, which is something that a lot of children in the school know about me already, which is when I lived, I spent 2 years living in Thailand, and I used to regularly go diving with sharks, and had a very, shall we say, difficult encounter with a shark once on a dive in Australia, which both of us survived. So there you go. I've dived with sharks.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
For number 7, why did you take the role of being a head teacher?
Oh wow, what a question. Because there are some people who you come across who have that, if you like, that drive as a teacher to be a head teacher from the first day. You know, almost from being the newly qualified teacher. Where do you see your career going? I want to be a head. I was never like that. I just wanted to be a really, really good French teacher when I started teaching. Then I saw what the person above me, if you like, in the chain of command or the hierarchy was doing. I thought, oh, I'd give that a go, and I became a head of department. And again, I got quite good at that. And after a while in a post, you can start to get a little bit itchy feet or a little bit bored, or you want some more demanding work, shall we say, or responsibilities. So I applied for, was lucky. I was an assistant head. And from then, I think I just fell into headship. I just happened to be in schools where they needed somebody at the next tier up, and I threw my hat in the ring. I never had a particular dream of being a head teacher. I think it's the most wonderful job in the world, by the way. But it was never my intended aim when I started teaching. I just looked at what people did and thought, oh, I fancy giving that a go. And there's something in that, isn't there? Because you've got to have a dream, you've got to have a goal. Mine was to be a teacher. And then what you mustn't do is become fixated on that dream. If something comes along and you think, oh, I'll give that a go, don't be afraid, give it a go. And I think that's how I got to be a head teacher. A little bit of luck, a little bit of hard work in terms of learning and qualifications, and also not being afraid to give something a go.
Okay, for number 8, what are the risk factors of being a head teacher?
Oh, wow, they're huge if you think about it. I'm responsible for the best part of 200 staff, 200 adults, 1,400 children, and a sizable community. So the safeguarding risks around caring for that amount of people is huge. It doesn't give me sleepless nights because I trust our systems and I trust the people within their roles in those systems. But that is a huge risk. To me personally, the risk is I don't want to let people down. I don't want children in our school not to achieve the GSA or the A-level grades that they should. I want to know that I've done my very, very best to make sure that young people excel. And I also need to know that we're developing leadership within the adults in the school, so that the adults are, how can I put this, developing themselves both personally and professionally. I think there is a risk actually to me in the wider sense, which is to my family. And my family have definitely suffered since I've been a head teacher. At times they've seen a very stressed or worried or anxious husband or father. And, you know, I've been a head teacher now for 9 years. And I certainly said to my children when they were younger, don't Google dad's name, because you'll find some things on Facebook or on social media you won't want to see. Written by people who don't know me and don't know what my values are, and don't know me as a person. So there's also a risk, I think, to me as a dad and as a husband. But I still think I have the best job in the world.
For number 9, how do you ensure that your teachers are motivated and are happy at your present school?
I'm very lucky because I work with possibly the best set of adults I think I've worked with in my teaching career. All the adults in this school, I think, come to work because they believe in our mission, and our mission is to be ambitious for every child and to defy disadvantage, whatever disadvantage means to that child. And we all subscribe to that. That's our moral purpose. We don't come to work to sell cars, to sell fridge freezers. We're very, very lucky. We come to work because our work has a huge human impact on young people and on a community. So I think that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is, I try to be positive. I try to be optimistic. I'm unfortunate in that I have one of those faces that means when I'm stressed or angry, it shows. But I do try to be positive and optimistic. I try to have a laugh and a joke with people in work. So I do try to do what we call the softer stuff. And I think I then look to the systems and the processes that the school puts in place. And I think invariably that's where we have the problem if people aren't happy. It's not a problem with the person. It's a problem with the actual task that they're having to do. And that's something that we've got to reflect on and probably get better at. Our teachers, for instance, write far lengthier reports than most teachers in most schools. And so we've got to try and do things to make the workload more manageable.
For number 10, give examples of how you have led change in the school.
Oh, Struth, wow, you really are grilling me, blimey. Because the word change and change management is huge in leadership and management circles. It's if you look at something called the Kubler-Ross curve, it's the curve of how people respond to bereavement, to death, and that's the curve that leaders, school leaders, business leaders use to implement change. Because you get the anguish, you get the anxiety, you get the worry, they get the we're all in this together. Come on, let's crack on. And leading change is a little bit like how people deal with bereavement. There's a very simple formula that I try to refer to, which is called the Kotter 8-step paradigm, which is basically 8 steps for leading change in an organization. So there's a tool there that we use. I think the thing I would say to you now is, if you think about how your learning has changed through COVID, we've gone from setting worksheets on class charts when we first had to look at closing schools, to then using Teams, for things like dictated notes, for submitting work, for using breakout rooms, for using graphs, for sharing PowerPoints, for putting audio, for linking videos. It's phenomenal. And that's the best kind of change, because that change, was driven by COVID-19, if you like, and was driven by Miss Halford in our school and how we set up the remote learning, but then became really taken on board and really driven by the class teachers and the heads of departments, who've done a phenomenal job in changing our teaching methods. So it's been the best change is driven by the people most engaged with it. And that's a classic example of how the class teachers, the heads of departments, through the guidance of Miss Halford, have made sure that young people can learn in these remote times, and it's phenomenal. So there you go. That's the example I give.
That's the end of the interview. Thank you for your time.
Oh, Stu, thank you for that. I feel like you've really grilled me. Were my answers any good?
Yeah, it was interesting.
Oh, thank you. Right, on a scale of 1 to 10, where one is rubbish and 10 is really good, where were my answers somewhere?
I'll say 8.5.
Oh, I'll take that all day long. That's not bad. Thank you for the questions.
You're welcome.
That was an amazing interview with our own head teacher, Mr. Price and Avril.
I know we started talking about our hobbies before the interview, but Shanice, what are some of your absolute favourite things to do?
Well, as I said before, I really like playing the piano. And if you know me in year 7, and as you know me, I like chicken. So I really do like having some chicken and rice, and I play the piano, and yeah, I like to do music and listen to music. What about you, Millie?
Well, as I love to sing, and if some people do know, I was a part of the Aptitude as well as youth, and I just like doing things like that. I love to bake, yeah, but if it was without a box, I don't think I'd be able to save my life with my baking. So things like that. But Shanice,
yeah.
Do you have a favourite food?
Favourite food, as I just said, is chicken. But apart from that, I do like a bit of cake.
Oh, I remember the banana cake you made.
Oh, that banana cake was incredible.
Other than that, my favourite food. Well, it's not really food, but let's say because we're on the topic of cakes, one of my favourite cakes is red velvet. Like if you gave it to me to eat,
Yeah.
I probably could eat all of it. Especially ones from Costco. Them are good.
Well, Millie, I know that you've been watching a lot of TV. So, what's your favourite thing that you've been watching so far?
Well, when I was quite young, I liked Doctor Who, but now I've just gotten started to it, and it was so sad when Rose left. That I nearly got a
Oh.
tear in my eye, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And so far, I've just been watching all four Netflix and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, basically I'm doing the same. I've literally just started watching Doctor Who. I've got like
Yeah.
5 minutes of the first episode. I haven't got through much. But I like watching a lot more YouTube
Yeah.
than television and normal TV.
Well, because we're going back to school, hopefully PE will get to carry on. But other than that, what's your favourite sport, or something that you wish would be a sport but it's not?
Well, I'd never played it before. I don't think I could play it, and I think I'd be terrible at playing it. But I do like football, and if anybody wants to know, my favourite football team is Manchester United.
Oh,
My
no.
favourite footballer is Marcus Rashford.
Oh my gosh, not this again. Well, one of my favourite sports, I was gymnastics, because I do that. I've done that for 3 years, and I did that when I was little. But other than that, I like many other types of sports. I think me and you very like to do active things like that.
Yeah, and I know you're into music because you said before a lot of times. So what's your favourite song like now?
Well, I was listening to a song on the loop called Clairo. No, Sophia by Clairo, and as you know, we've been singing it I've been singing it a lot. Can't stop.
You've been singing it a lot. And my favourite song, I don't really have a favourite song. I'm just liking right now. This is a song from years ago, but it just like I just learnt the lyrics and I really like it. It's 7 years, and people are gonna think it's really lame because it released ages ago, but I like it.
Well, now you've heard a little bit about us, we're going to move on to our next interview with Gabby and Maisie from Year 9, our student leadership team.
What activities do you like to do outside of school?
Dance. 100% dance.
Yep, me too.
Oh.
Question 3. How do you feel about remote learning?
I quite enjoy it, apart from the fact that sometimes you lose motivation. So you don't tend to like feel like you want to do it sometimes, but like you have to.
Yeah. Okay. Question 4. Have you been on holiday? If so, where did you go?
It was a few years back. I went to Benidorm, and it was pretty cool.
Okay. Question 5. If you were to be stuck on a desert island, name 3 items you would want with you.
Ooh, my dog, my phone, and food.
Okay. Question 6. What do you love about being a student leader?
You get input in a lot of things. It's really fun, and you sort of feel like that you're being more included in stuff that the staff would sometimes do, but you get to do it yourself, and it's pretty cool.
Okay. Question 7. What do you least enjoy about being a student leader?
Sometimes that there's loads of meetings, and sometimes you don't tend to like have dinners and stuff. Like in the academy, like you lose your dinner because like you have to do meetings and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Question 8. What is your favorite subject?
Ooh. Dance or PE? I can't choose. Dance.
Okay. Question 9. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes. Yes.
Question 10. Do you think that the world will ever be the same after this traumatizing disease?
I think it will eventually, but I think it'll probably take a long time. And it probably will never be exactly the same, but it'll either impact us in a negative way or a positive way, but no one really knows what yet.
And the final question is just the joke question. So, yeah. The final question is, do you think pineapple belongs on pizza?
I don't like pizza, so I can't answer.
Oh, okay. Okay. And that's it.
Well, thank you very much.
Your answers have been great and well done.
Thank you.
Leading from that amazing interview with Gabby and Macy, we are now going to hear some live music from the GSA Aptitude Group.
So come on, let it go. Just let it be. Why don't you be you? And I'll be me. Everything this road, leave it to the breeze. Why don't you be you? And I'll be me. And I'll be me. Oh yeah, and I'll be me.
Well, I hope we made a good first impression.
Bye.
And to be continued.